Hey everyone, my guest today is Jim Beach, the author of The Real Environmentalists: How Wayne Elliott and Other Capitalists Will Save the World. Jim is a longtime entrepreneur, best-selling McGraw-Hill author, award-winning speaker, and nationally syndicated radio host. He is best known as the creator of School for Startups, a program and radio show that has helped thousands of aspiring entrepreneurs turn ideas into successful businesses. Jim launched his first company at age 25, scaling it to over 700 employees and $12 million in annual revenue without outside capital. He later became a top ranked business school professor, where his innovative business starting every semester approach inspired his best selling book, School for Startups. The book reached number 9 on all of Amazon and number 1 in the business category. His radio program, School for Startups Radio, has since aired more than 4,200 interviews with leading entrepreneurs and thought leaders worldwide. Beyond entrepreneurship, Jim has a lifelong passion for the environment. After studying oceanography in college and researching whale migration patterns aboard a Woods Hole schooner, he grew frustrated with the lack of solutions in environmental debates. That experience helped shape his latest work, The Real Environmentalists, which highlights unsung heroes of sustainability who focus on action over politics. Known for his energetic, engaging style and pragmatic insights, Jim has delivered keynote presentations for global brands like UPS, Wells Fargo, Citicorp, Sam's Club, Toshiba, and SunTrust, reaching audiences across the US, India, Brazil, Egypt, Japan, and beyond. Welcome to the show, Jim. I want to thank you for being here today. Could you tell the audience a little bit about what it is that you're wanting to discuss today?
My goodness, thanks for having me. I want to discuss anything, good
Yeah.
recipes, decorating ideas, the environment, startup
Yeah.
business, anything on that list.
Yeah.
Three Eye
Perfect.
Atlas. Are you worried about Three Eye Atlas, Samantha?
What is Three Eye Atlas?
Oh, you don't know.
No.
Three Eye Atlas is a comet that's not a comet, but it looks like a comet, except it's clearly something's very strange about it. It gives all of the signs that it was produced by another civilization. And
It's headed towards Earth, right?
it's, yes, and it's now on the other side of the sun and coming back towards us here in the next couple of weeks. And uh,
Oh,
it
wow.
it has all signs that it's not from nature. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So,
I have heard some rumblings about it. I did not know the name of it. So,
yes.
in the next couple of weeks, we may be invaded by aliens. Is that what you're
Uh,
hinting at?
Something like that, or
Yeah.
uh, spied on by aliens or
Yeah.
something. The route that they're on takes them as close to they could to four different planets as possible, which makes it,
Oh.
you know, it's a very, very, very calculated route, which is one of the
Hmm.
reasons they think that it's not natural. And also, it's made adjustments in its route. So how can something natural make an adjustment in its route? So anyway,
That.
it's interesting to
Yeah.
study and see what happens. So
Yeah. So, are they is it expected to go by Earth? Just go by
yes,
it? Okay.
I think November 12th or something like that is the closest it gets to Earth. There's no
Okay.
thought that it could hit us.
Yeah.
It looks like it's just going to keep going, but
Yeah.
be
Are we
interesting.
gonna
We don't know what it is. It doesn't make sense.
are we gonna be able to just see it?
You can see it with a store bought uh, what are the telescope now. So
Okay.
if you buy a telescope now,
Oh,
you can see it. As a matter of fact, with the government shutdown,
yeah.
some of the amateur astronomers have been getting the best pictures of it. And there's even a
Really?
theory out there that the reason the government was shut down was so that NASA doesn't give us the truth about what's going on with this. But let's not go crazy here.
I
Let's
believe it
talk
already.
politics.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. I have not heard anything about that.
Well, you have to be in the cuckoo circles to hear that kind of stuff.
I like the cuckoo circles sometimes. Huh. I'm gonna be looking more into that later. I want to see it. Which direction would I have to look?
I don't know. I
Okay,
don't know. I'm
I'll
not
Google it.
an astronomer person.
Yeah, I'll Google it and figure
I
it
have a
out.
degree in oceanography, so I went the other direction.
Okay, okay. I almost took, an oceanography class when I was in school, but it just didn't fit into my schedule. Yeah, so you have a lot of interesting information that I could pick your brain about,
Well, we'll
I'm
see.
guessing.
We'll see.
Alright. So what are you mainly working on right now?
Well, I'm a radio host 5 days a week, so that's my main gig. But I just
Okay.
released a book that I'm excited about called
Yeah,
The Real Environmentalist.
yeah.
And I love the cover. The cover has leaves that fall and turn into money,
Yeah.
symbolic of the fact that I believe very strongly that entrepreneurs are going to save the environment and that entrepreneurs are already saving the environment. I came across 216 American for-profit companies designed to tackle some part of the environmental crisis. And
Okay.
I'm not denying that there is a problem. I'm not
Mhm.
going to argue about who caused it. I'm not going to go there. All I'm saying is that the people cleaning it up happen not to be celebrities, not government agencies, not NGO, non government
Mhm.
organizations, not Greenpeace. The people actually going out there and getting their hands dirty and making a difference right now are all called entrepreneurs. And so
Okay.
that's the thesis of my book and the argument that I'm having. I've gotten some interesting pushback. Some people have told me that I'm going to get in trouble and I should just shut up and go away because the environmental movement doesn't like my message. I've gotten some
Yeah.
0-star reviews on Amazon
Oh.
that you can tell didn't read the book. They're just upset by the thesis
Mhm.
of the book. And so it has turned political. Most of the interviews that I've been invited to do have been on right wing platforms, not left wing platforms. The left wing
Yeah.
doesn't want to hear the message that
Yeah.
it's not that bad. There are environmental crises, but I don't know if you noticed, Bill Gates came out today and said that he doesn't think humanity is going to die because of the environment. And he got pilloried for
Really?
that. And so, that is uh, my sort of goal is to let everyone know that it's actually a very upbeat, positive outcome is the most
Yeah.
likely outcome. And that we humans are very good at dealing with these sort of problems and ameliorating them. We don't
Mhm.
usually give in. And I point to the Netherlands, and 2/3 of the country has been a meter underwater for hundreds of years, but yet
Yeah.
they have dikes and fjords and uh, walls and stuff, and they're operating just fine. It's one of the most
Yeah.
beautiful places I've ever been. And so
Really?
all of these issues have solutions, and many
Mhm.
of them are getting utilized now. And the thing that the environmentalists hate to hear the most is that the earth is cleaner now than it has ever been. Since humans have
Really?
been here, humans make a mess of the
Yeah.
things until they
Mhm.
become wealthy, and then they clean up after themselves.
Yeah.
And you look at the places that have the cleanest and are the least polluted, those are the wealthiest places where people can go and afford to take care of the land, the
Mhm.
sea, and the air. And who produces that wealth? The environmentalists. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the entrepreneurs,
Yeah, yeah.
not the environmentalists. I got carried away there. And so, uh, can I tell you some of the stories that I discovered?
I would love to hear the stories.
So this guy's in biology class with one of his buddies, and
Mhm.
they have grown up together, and they're both outdoorsy type guys with big beards and stuff. And one of them
Yeah.
is honest to goodness named Gator. His real God given name is Gator,
Oh,
Gator
boy.
Halpern. And these two
Oh.
guys figure out from what they were taught in class that they could figure out a way to grow coral. Right. So sea coral is
Oh.
one of the biggest environmental issues right now, that the reefs are disappearing.
Mhm.
Well, Gator figured out how to grow coral 50 times faster than God does it. So he can come in overnight and drop a coral reef into your resort, into your barrier where you need more coral reef, where there used to be one. He's growing it in big swimming pools in the Bahamas now, and is
Yeah.
making money with each installation. The people
Okay.
who are paying him, or who are his customers, are
Yeah.
people who give him money. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to go ask for a government grant.
Yeah.
to do this. He doesn't have to, raise money and then figure out how to do it. He just does it because people are willing to pay him to make their problem go away, which is the
Yeah.
definition of entrepreneurship. And
Yeah.
so it's just an amazing story. And there's 216 American stories like that. And we have them in the appendix 3 of the book and
Okay.
separated by category. And you can just
Yeah.
scroll through it. It's every category that you can think of.
Okay.
Every environmental issue that you have heard of. Oh, there's that. Oh, here's this one. Everything is being addressed by somebody now.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
even buildings now, Bill Gates invested in this, that clean the air around them. Buildings that clean the air.
Oh.
It's just like
Yeah.
an air filter at the front door of your house.
Mhm. Yeah.
Amazing things all being done by entrepreneurs. And so the main hero of our book is Wayne Elliott. He's
Okay.
the guy I started writing the book about, and I realized that he represented a whole class of people that needed to be talked about. Right
Okay.
now we're having an environmental summit. Oh, I don't maybe in Argentina or someplace coming up
Oh,
soon here,
yeah.
Copa
Yes.
or something. I don't
Yeah.
remember where it is.
I can't
Um,
either.
you know who's not really invited to that? Any of my entrepreneurs who are going to be there,
Really?
and government people,
Yeah.
celebrity people,
Yeah.
activist people, crazy people, but none of the entrepreneurs. But anyway, Wayne Elliott is Canadian, mid 70s. And when he
Okay.
was 14 years old, he started working in his father's shipyard. They did recycling. And for the last 50 years, he has gone around buying decaying, dying aircraft carriers, submarines, big
Oh.
1,000-foot long carriers, and chopping them up into little pieces that can be recycled. And he can recycle 99% of a ship and has done that as ISO certified. He's the first one to get ISO certified. And then along the way, he figured out that the thing that he couldn't recycle was the batteries. And so he spent $20
Okay.
million researching how to recycle batteries. And he figured it out, got the patents on it, and got Canada up to 97% in alkaline battery recycling. Guess what America's alkaline battery recycling average is?
Is it terrible?
Oh, it's zero.
Okay.
Zero. And they got Canada up to 97%. And he recently
Wow.
sold that technology to BlackRock, which is about the most prestigious group out there. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, here he is cleaning up the environment 2 ways and is not heard of. No one knows about him. So that's why
Yeah.
we put him in the subtitle of the book, How Wayne Elliott and Other Entrepreneurs Are Saving the Environment. And so he's out there literally risking his life with a blowtorch,
Yeah.
cutting up the oil tank of a ship, just doing amazing things. This is so horrible. I'm of the more of the right wing than of the left wing. I don't really like new government laws, but there's
Yeah.
not an international law that prevents ships from being sunk in the middle of the night, in the middle of the ocean. And that's what
Yeah.
happens to most of them now. And so what does that mean? They still have all of the asbestos, all of the oil, all of the gasoline, all of the
Yeah.
paint, all of the other chemicals down there leaching into the ocean. I am much more worried about ships leaching their goop into the fisheries
Yeah.
of the world than I am of an island disappearing because of the sea level rising.
Yeah.
Because we know there are thousands of ships out there currently leaking, and most of
Yeah.
them, many of them are American military ships. They sank during the war, and not only do they have the grease, the oil, and the asbestos, but they also have live munitions. And so, again,
Yeah.
that's a disaster that has to be addressed and cleaned up. And Wayne's the guy out there leading the charge. We have another
Mhm.
academic in the UC California system, and he was a
Yeah.
specialist in amoebas and that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I don't even know what it is. I don't remember. I learned amoebas in like the 8th grade and haven't
Yeah.
spoken the
Yeah.
word since. And he was a PhD in amoebas. Some company
Okay.
called him out of the blue and asked if he could help. That turned into a $300 million exit. He's now 4 other businesses in. He's the guy that figured out how to replace oil as the backbone of all of the chemicals that we need to exist. So right now in
Okay.
all of our cosmetics, all of our paint, all of our detergent, all of our tires, all of the plastic has a
Mhm.
plastic backbone to it that holds the chemicals together. That's what
Okay.
becomes all of the microplastics in the ocean that are now in our brains. Have you heard about those?
Okay.
So
Yes.
horrible
Yeah.
microplastics in all of our brains and stuff now.
Yeah.
He figured out how to take oil out of that process and replace it with an amoeba.
Really?
Or maybe it was an algae. Algae. Let's go with algae.
That makes a
Algae
little bit
makes
more
more
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
Algae makes
Yeah.
more sense. And so he replaced it with an algae backbone. And so
Okay.
now we don't need oil to make cosmetics. We don't need
Yeah.
oil to make paint. And so the implications for that are just limitless, that he's going to go out there and make the future dramatically cleaner. And we have also a big distinction that I want to make, and then I'll shut up and let you talk for a minute. um, as I wallow in my algae amoeba disgrace here. uh, there are two groups of entrepreneurs we found. There are a bunch out there cleaning up the mess, and
Uh-huh.
there are a bunch out there designing products for the future that won't create more mess along the way.
Yeah.
So we ran across a charcoal company that you would use for your barbecue that doesn't release any of the bad stuff
Oh.
into the air when you have a picnic. It's called the Good Charcoal Company. And so
Okay.
entrepreneurs are solving it in every direction, cleaning up the past, producing a cleaner future, and making money while they do it.
Mhm. So these are people that basically they care about the environment. They see a way in to help solve a problem, and they just started doing it. It's yeah.
They did the entrepreneur way. They
Mhm.
bootstrapped and got it up for very little money, and then
Yeah.
probably raised some money once they proved their point
Yeah.
and proved that their idea was working. And so these companies are now worth millions of dollars and are going to be great investments.
Yeah.
That they are winning some awards, and they're dealing with big, big problems. There's one of the companies is called Vater, Vvater. It's like the German pronunciation of water. And if you
Okay.
put two V's next to each other, you get a W, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the company is called Vater, run by a South African who moved to Austin, Texas, named Kevin
Okay.
Gast, Gast. And he has figured out how to clean water better than it's ever been done before. Right now, you know how we clean our water? By adding tons of chemicals to it. And
That's
that's
my
called
job.
clean.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
figuring out how to take all of the junk out of it so that there's no chemicals in it. It's just
Mhm.
water. And it's an
Yeah.
amazing company. They just won some huge awards, and they are deserving and are receiving the accolades of the industry. And also, I think, making some money and growing it. I know they're raising
Yeah.
another round of capital right now. And so it's the typical entrepreneur stories. We proved
Yeah.
it. Now we're going to go raise some money and scale it.
Yeah. That's really cool. I'm gonna have to, tell my boss about that because with treating drinking water, like, that's what I that's my job. This is a hobby. But the I could tell you that most water distributors would love to find a different way to clean the water instead of using all these chemicals because there's so many regulations tied to the chemicals. There's so much cost. Um we had to build new buildings onto our well houses where we inject fluoride because fluoride and phosphate um, cannot be stored in the same room, and it's very expensive to do all all that. And then yeah, you're drinking all this stuff. So interesting. I'm gonna have to look him up.
It's very cool what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you know, it's funny because or is it funny or is it sad? But it seems that when the government is involved in stuff, there's so much fluff and so much red tape, and you've got all these people working on something and not really doing making a significant amount of progress. So
Well, their job
yeah.
is not to do it. their job is to monitor those who do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they spend all of their time creating paperwork for other people to sort through and to read. And I think, uh, I believe in clean water and stuff. I don't know that we need as many people um, at the EPA doing what they're doing is
Yeah.
what they're doing. I do believe that we should be able to build something new without a 3-year environmental impact study first.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
don't think that that's realistic for a growing economy. You're not going to convince me that if we build on this lot, that the entire ecosystem of North America is going to collapse.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's the argument that we hear quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, and you would think that if there were environmental factors at play, like say there's an endangered or threatened species in this area, they would know it. It's not like
Yes,
they have to do a three-year study. But they've already identified the issue. In
exactly.
my opinion.
Yep, I 100% agree.
So, your book also talks about the shift in environmental what was that? The environmental narrative, right? How so can you talk to me about that a little bit? Like how
Well, I'm trying to change the narrative. I'm trying to
Okay.
redirect it and say we need to talk and consider these entrepreneurs when we
Yeah.
have events, international, global summits on the environment that should include the entrepreneurs
Yeah.
and the people solving the problems. And I think that the environmental movement does itself a huge disservice because at the end of this event, they will announce that the world is going to end and we're all going to die a horrible environmental death in
Yeah.
the year 2035
Yeah.
or 2041 or something. One thing I do in the book is list all of the projections, all of the guesses, all of the things that they have said that didn't turn out to be true.
Yeah.
We started predicting the demise of everything as early as the
Mhm.
60s, and not one of
Yeah.
those has ever come true. And I would argue that we're cleaner now than we were in the 60s. A lot cleaner, as a matter of fact. Our
Yeah.
rivers and stuff are a lot cleaner now than we were then. And so, again, they make a lot of silly projections.
Yeah. I oftentimes too, I think, well, first off, I think that a lot of things are lies, but also, because, you've got these celebrities and politicians saying that these places are gonna be gone within so many years, yet you find out they have a house there. But, also, I think that some things are inevitable and maybe just let nature take its course. Like, I love New Orleans, and I'm not talking crap, but when it was settled, the land was only 14 feet above sea level, and so you're already in an area that floods well. Yet they've just pushed and pushed and pushed to stay there. And last I read, they're losing 2 inches of land per year in certain swampy areas, etc. So they've got all these government programs to raise these houses that end up getting taken out by hurricanes and so. So it's an endless money pit to solve a problem that's never going to go away, no matter what we do to try to reverse climate change or whatever. It's never the problem is never going to go away. So I guess if you're tired of your stuff getting flooded and taken out by tornadoes, you should just move. And that breaks my heart because I love New Orleans, but some of the stuff the problem was there before people even got there. It was a swamp when they you, yeah. Anyway.
I 100% agree with you. Yes, they built some cities in some stupid places, and now it's hard to figure out how to solve those problems. But you know
Mhm.
what? Someone will. And
Yeah.
New Orleans is open for business in gambling and Mardi
Yeah.
Gras and all of those things now.
Yeah.
And there are some neighborhoods with it we shouldn't rebuild. I think
Yeah.
that we just need to come forward and say that some of these houses on Cape Hatteras in North Carolina, I think just
Yeah.
about a month ago, the water tore a bunch of them down. And then there's landfalls or land collapses on
Mhm.
these cliffs in California, and now the house is 10 feet away, and then it collapses again and it's 5 feet away. I think that you shouldn't be allowed to build a house there,
Yeah.
and if the cliffs change or if the waters change, then we just need to take that stuff and lesson learned and
Mhm.
retreat a little bit. So, I think all of the things are changing, but
Yeah.
then they'll point out the things that are going away without pointing out the things that are being added. New
Yeah.
islands are growing all the time around the
Yeah.
world. And wherever, one side erodes, well, that stuff washes up somewhere on the other side.
Yes. Yes.
And so, and I also believe that we are in the middle of a huge macro climate thing that we haven't figured out what it was. I think I'm a lot older than you, and I remember when I was a kid, they told us that it was global cooling that we needed to be afraid of, that we were all going to
Oh.
freeze to death. And then about 10 years later, they switched to global warming. And then
Yeah.
about 5 or 10 years after that, it just became climate change.
Mhm.
Because I think there's a lot of people on both sides.
Yeah.
We are at the end of a mini ice age, I think, right
Yeah.
now, when you talk on 5, 10,000 year cycles and stuff. And so I don't know that we can change that if we wanted to.
Right.
I don't think we
Right.
could. And so, um, we are the flea on the back of the world. I don't think that we can
Yeah.
do as much as we think we can.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors real quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high protein snacks for on the go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Right, right. Well, I mean, some things, like I was saying, they're just natural changes. Like the I'm assuming there's similar things in oceanography, but like when rivers, like you were saying, they flow through, they erode some places, they put up. So you'll see like a path of the river. It's kind of changed location over time. That's normal. That's not climate change. It's but I think there's a huge misunderstanding of what's natural and what humans are causing. But
100% agree. Yes, the river is supposed to move. It brings all of that silt down, and it's
yeah,
supposed to build the alluvial areas, and that's supposed to accumulate, and you're supposed to put a city there, and
yeah,
then it gets washed out and rebuild it. I mean, it's just the history
yeah.
of man. So,
So I'm assuming what you would like to see is the government starting to work with these entrepreneurs a little bit more versus the NGOs.
well, normally, I think if you were to ask all of the founders and the CEOs of those companies, they would say, government, just stay away from us.
Yeah.
We have enough rules now. We're operating within them. We don't want
Mhm.
the playing field to change. The only thing an entrepreneur wants is to know the rules and don't change them.
Yeah.
And so we got the rules and we're making money now and we're solving your problem now. And so just
Yeah.
stay out of the way
Yeah.
is the predominant thing that I think, 90% of the entrepreneurs out there would say, regardless of their industry.
Mhm.
And the last thing we need is more government regulation. It's working now. And
Yeah.
so just leave us alone. The only one
Yeah.
we want is that ship at night law. But that needs to be an international maritime law. That's not a U.S. law. That's international maritime.
And what is that?
I want a law against them sinking ships in the middle of the night, in the
Mm.
middle of the ocean, so that they rot there, as opposed to paying the money to have them recycled.
Okay. Yeah. So so that's if there is a ship that's beyond repair, they just
About 30 years they get old, and about 50
yeah.
years they need to be junked,
Yeah.
and started over with. They just don't last forever.
Yeah.
There's nothing more abusive than the ocean, and so they just don't last forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I get maybe I had heard some of this, but I guess I didn't know that that was a common thing for people to just sink ships once they're done. And aren't
Well,
there a
there's
bunch of
more ships
abandoned?
than we know of. If
Uh-huh.
I were to say, how many ships do you think are in the world? And I mean
Mhm.
over 1,000 feet. So that's a big, big, big ship. Do you think there's 1,000, five
Mhm.
thousand, 15,000, 50,000, or 500,000?
Mhm.
Which one do you think it is?
I
Over 1,000 feet. How many think
yeah,
there are?
I have no idea. I'm guessing the number is much larger than what
It's closer to 500,000
500.
than
Oh
to
my gosh.
1,000.
Yeah.
I think there's
Yeah.
100,000 with just oil tankers or something like that. There's
Okay.
more ships than you could it would blow you away, and that's in chapter 2 of the book. We go through
Okay.
it and show all of the ships that are out there. It's a mind
Yeah.
blowing number.
Okay. And yeah, aren't there a lot that are just abandoned that
Yeah.
people just leave out?
hmm
That's so that's so
hmm
strange to me.
And then the recycling that does happen outside of ISO certified places like Wayne's, and there's, I think, only two of those in the uh, northern hemisphere.
Uh-huh.
Are I'm sorry, yeah. Um, they end up in Turkey or in India on a beach with kids in no shoes out there recycling
Yeah.
them. There's an incredible video out, a documentary about the ship recycling in India, and it'll get swarmed with 100 kids, all just looking like they're about to get cut in half with the metal that they're exposed to. It's a really, really
Oh.
scary and horrible situation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's too bad. Um, all right. So what okay, so you've mentioned the part where you go into all the different entrepreneurs that are doing things. Is there Is there any do you have any suggestions on how other people might want to be able to be involved and start their own?
Well, I have a whole method for starting a business that I teach on my radio show,
Okay.
and it applies to any environmental business or any business whatsoever. And so, if you have an environmental idea, I think my message would be get started working on it. There are people who would love to help you, and there are money sources that are designed just for environmental efforts. And so, if you
Okay.
do have an environmental startup idea, it'll be easy to raise money. If
Yeah.
you can prove that your idea works or is likely to work, if you had $10,000 or $100,000 to pursue it, there are a
Uh-huh.
lot of places that want to talk to you right now and give you the money to do that. So,
Okay.
simply, if you were to look up environmental VCs on Google or something like that, you would find a long, long list. And
Okay.
so, by long, I mean like maybe 20 or 30 companies that are
Yeah.
devoted to just doing that. There's
Okay.
probably 1,000 VCs in America, and I'd say, oh, maybe 100 of them. I'd say 10% of them are environmentally focused,
Okay.
and so there's places to get money. And the main lesson is, if you can find someone who will pay you to do it to solve that problem, you've got a great marketplace, because that
Yeah.
problem is a deep, dark problem that's probably going to take decades to solve,
Yeah.
and if your problem, your solution is figuring out how to recycle milk jugs,
Yeah.
or figuring out what to do with tires. Someone needs to figure out what to do with tires
Yeah.
desperately. We don't
Yeah.
need any more boat bumpers made out of old tires.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there are tons of environmental problems still to be solved.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. And can you tell the audience about your radio show?
yeah, thanks. It's called School for Startups Radio, and we talk
Okay.
anything related to entrepreneurship. We've been on for almost 14 years now and have done
Wow.
some 2,700 episodes. We have usually two guests per show, and we talk about literally everything: how to start a bowling alley, how to start an ad
Yeah.
agency, how to start an SEO company, how to raise money, how to have marketing, how to do uh, SEO, how to do SEO now, or AI
Okay.
SEO is becoming a new thing. How to do
Yeah.
search engine optimization for the AI engines. We're starting to
Okay.
talk about that. So basically, anything you can think of as an entrepreneur that's related, we have done a show or two on it,
Mhm.
and we'd love to have entrepreneurs on the show. If you've got a cool business, there's a form there to apply, and a lot of our
Okay.
guests come that way, just have a cool startup that they did that they'd like to tell other people how to get started in that
Yeah.
space. So, how to start a furniture company, how to start a clothing company,
Yeah.
everything. We've done it all. How to start a restaurant, how to start a restaurant for under $5,000, because
Oh,
that's one of
wow.
my big things. You don't need more than $5,000 to start things. Restaurants
Okay.
you do, but it can be done for under $5,000. And so we show you a lot of fundraising tricks and stuff like that. And then mental things like, getting yourself in the mental space and getting over imposter syndrome, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And where can people find your radio show?
Schoolforstartupsradio.com, or you can just go to
Okay.
jimbeach.com.
Okay.
But School for Startups is my brand name.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. I will make sure to include that in
Thank
the
you.
episode notes. And do you how often is it?
Every day. So we do
Every
5
Oh
days a
my
week. Matter
gosh.
of fact, we have two shows 5 days a week. We have a 54-minute show and then a 90-second show
Oh,
that we do as well. So we have a short version and a long version 5 days a week.
yeah. Wow.
So we have to have a system. When we've done it for
Yeah.
14 years, as anything that you do as an entrepreneur, it's become a system. And
Mhm.
so for us to create 5 hours a week,
Yeah.
most podcasters would think that would take 5 days, or
Yeah.
whatever. We produce an hour in less than 50 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have a
Yep.
system down.
Yeah. I am less than a year into podcasting and I have tweaked things so many times I can't even count just to try and get that real good system down. And I think I'm doing all right except for when I'm out of town. I'm like, okay, should I continue to cover the news when I'm out of town because then I've got a huge episode when I get back, or should I maybe ask some for help with or just not do it. I know a lot of people just don't put out content while they're on vacation. So I'm still figuring that
Or
part
you
out.
record it in advance so that it
Mhm.
airs while you're gone.
Yeah.
So we record and release every day, even during Christmas holidays and stuff, because there's people listening to the radio every day,
Yeah.
especially during the holidays. But we also produce it all in advance. So
Yeah.
we are already, it's the end of October right now. We are already producing our February shows.
Okay. Okay.
So I
Yeah.
can tell you what shows I'm going to have in February now,
Yeah. Wow.
and when they get recorded, then they air, within 3 or 4 days of that, because the guests don't want a long pause. And then if there's a long pause, then whatever they talk about is not content relevant anymore.
Mhm.
And so we have figured out that that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. Yes. I know I personally am happy when there is content over the holidays because you're in the car driving and then it's
Mhm.
like, oh, there's nothing new to listen to,
Mhm.
and I don't like just straight radio. I like to listen to
Yep.
conversations.
And then it can be, you could talk about Christmas and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that you would like the audience to know? And I definitely want you to hold your book up again, and I will put the links to that out.
Here's the book,
Yeah.
The Real
Perfect.
Environmentalist. And can I do a 1 2 minute spiel on
Abs-
entrepreneurship?
oh yeah. Yep. Yep. The time
So
is yours.
let me ask you, do you believe that entrepreneurs are creative people taking risks, starting businesses that they are passionate about? Does that definition work for you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
not one
it's
of
a
those
hundred
people that
percent
hate
wrong.
people. Oh, okay.
That's the problem,
Dang.
because people are thinking I have to be creative.
Oh, okay.
93% of entrepreneurs copy ideas from somebody else. They are not creative. They are just copying and put different names on it. And so the
Okay.
very first business I started was 100% a copy of a different business. I just did it better than them. And so I'm the one that grew to
Okay.
89 locations. And so find an idea and copy it. And then
Okay.
also, entrepreneurs think I have to have a bunch of money. Spend $5,000 and no more. And if you can prove your idea for $5,000, it's going to be a good idea. If you can't prove it for that, it's probably not going to work.
Okay.
And I can help you do that. You just don't want to spend money. I hate it when I find a young entrepreneur or someone just starting and they already have office space, but they don't know what their business is yet. Don't spend
Yeah.
money unless you have to. And then the third thing is passion. I'm passionate about my church, my synagogue, my mosque, and my marriage and my kids and stuff like that, but not my businesses. I like being here with you, but I'd rather be at Disney. I'm passionate about taking my kids to Disney. I
Yeah.
like this. I like what I do. If you're passionate about your business, that is icing on the cake. All you need to
Okay.
do to be an entrepreneur is like it more than working for the man. And if you can
Yeah.
start a business and don't have to work for the man, and then you fall in love with that business, then you're double lucky.
Mhm.
But you don't have to love every business you start. I've done a lot
Yeah.
of businesses that I don't love, but I love the money that came from it.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So there's my take on entrepreneurship. We look
Yeah.
at it differently.
Yeah. Interesting. That well, I mean,
Did
it
I
does,
convince you?
yeah, I mean, yeah, because if you do hear about some of the most successful companies, it's like, "Oh, we started out of our house. We started out of our garage and it turned into," and they've always got an inspiring story behind it versus the kind of the description you gave, which is, "Oh, someone's got," you know, I think a lot of people look at entrepreneurs as people who um also who didn't work for it, that it's like, oh well, someone in their family gave them money and helped them with the startup. Is I think that
Exactly.
there are
Yes.
some bad ideas of entrepreneurs as
Yep.
well. I guess what do you see the direction of the environment going? Do you see it continuing to improve with
Oh yeah,
these?
definitely. There's absolutely
Yeah.
no doubt that the world will get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. It's going to take a while to clean up China and India. They are just
Mhm.
dirty places. And the third world is going to take a while to get cleaned up. But that's what happens when you
Yeah.
become first world. You want things clean, and so
Yeah.
things get cleaned up when you become first world and wealthy. And the people who produce that are the entrepreneurs. And
Mhm.
so I'm incredibly optimistic. I also think we're about to experience the next uh, iteration of nuclear power. I think nuclear power is going to make a
Yeah.
big comeback again. And
Yeah.
the fourth generation power plants are so much safer, so much cleaner, so much more efficient that each little town will be able to have its own nuclear power plant soon. And
Yeah.
so I think that the future for that is very, very bright as well.
Yeah. Yes, I in some of my classes it was mentioned that nuclear power kind of got a bad name for itself, but then you do learn about all the benefits and all of the problems that other sources of energy have that nuclear doesn't.
Yep.
So that would be really cool to see.
Yes.
Yep. So, all right. Well, yeah, I want to thank you for being on and taking the time to be here. And if there's anything else that you ever want to come back on the show for, you're always welcome. And I'm going to get the book because it's I want to read
Thank you.
about what all those entrepreneurs are up to. And and it'll just give me a little bit more hope for our future, I think, with the
I hope
environment.
so.
So, yeah,
Thank you
and
so much for having me.
yes, nice to meet you. Thank you
All right.
for stopping in. All
Bye
right,
bye.
have a good day.